You think of Southern California and you picture sunshine, palm trees, maybe a trip to Disneyland.
Right, the happiest place on earth.
Exactly.
It's a story that really makes you stop and think.
It does. And for our deep dive today, we're going to try to piece together exactly what happened using eyewitness reports, official statements, all the info we could gather.
Trying to make sense of the senseless, right?
Right, because 2 people lost their lives that day and 18 more were injured, some of them critically. So let's set the scene. It's a little after 2 p.m., and this small plane, a Van's RV-10, it crashes into a furniture factory.
Right near the Fullerton Municipal Airport, the Michael Nicholas Designs Factory, to be exact.
Tragic. And this RV-10, it's a popular model, right?
Yeah, it's a kit plane, actually. A lot of hobbyists, private pilots, they love it.
What's the appeal?
Well, it's known for its speed, it's agile, but that also means it can be, a bit more demanding to fly.
Requires a skilled hand.
Definitely. And from what we're hearing, it seems like the plane had just taken off from Fullerton Municipal, but then it was turning back.
Turning back towards the airport.
Yeah, like it was trying to get back, which makes the whole thing even more puzzling.
You have to wonder, what could have gone wrong in those few minutes after takeoff? Engine trouble? Some kind of sudden emergency?
We just don't know yet, but what we do know is that the impact was devastating.
A massive fire broke out.
Thankfully, the fire crews got it under control pretty quickly.
But can you imagine the scene?
Mm-hmm.
There were about 100 people inside that factory who had to evacuate.
It's a miracle more people weren't hurt.
Seriously. And we actually have some security footage from across the street that shows the moment of impact.
A fiery explosion. Just awful.
It's hard to even process something like that.
One of the eyewitness accounts that really stuck with me was from a guy named Mark Anderson.
He was nearby.
Yeah, he said he heard this large boom and then immediately saw flames coming from the building. Just like that.
The suddenness of it all, that's what gets me.
It's almost like, your brain can't quite grasp it.
Surreal. And speaking of surreal, we have a quote from one of the factory workers, Juanita Ramirez. She was inside when it happened.
She actually saw the plane coming towards her.
She did. She said she heard the crash and then looked up and saw this large ball of fire flying right at her. Her words, "It felt like a dream."
Wow. It's heartbreaking to hear that.
It is. And just to put this in perspective, Congressman Lou Correa, who represents the area, he confirmed that at least a dozen of the victims were factory workers.
Going about their day and then this.
It's a reminder that these events, these tragedies, they affect real people.
Absolutely. And you know what else makes this story even more unsettling?
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
This was the second plane crash in that same area in the past 2 months.
It's crazy. Back in November, there was another plane that crashed just a block away.
Hit a tree. Thankfully, no one was seriously hurt that time.
But 2 crashes in such a short period of time and in such a small area, it's just eerie.
It makes you wonder if it's more than just coincidence.
Right. Is there something else at play here?
Like, what about the airport itself, Fullerton Municipal?
It's not a huge airport, but it does get a lot of traffic from smaller planes.
Exactly. So could there be something with the flight paths, maybe air traffic control?
Or is it really just a string of bad luck?
It's hard to say for sure.
And I keep thinking about the RV-10. Like we said, it's popular with hobbyists, maybe less experienced pilots. Could pilot error be a factor here?
I mean, we don't want to speculate, but it's definitely something investigators will be looking into.
For sure. And hopefully those investigations will give us some answers.
Answers that could help prevent something like this from happening again.
Exactly. So where does this leave us? We've looked at the facts, we've heard from witnesses, but there's still so many questions.
I think what's important is that we don't forget about the human cost of this tragedy.
The lives lost. The lives forever changed.
And as more information comes out, we need to keep asking those tough questions.
About aviation safety. About how we can prevent these kinds of accidents.
Because even on a seemingly ordinary day, the unthinkable can happen.
And that's something we all need to remember.
Yeah.
It's a lot to think about. But these are the kinds of conversations we need to have.
Absolutely. For everyone's safety.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been heavy.
It has, but important.
We'll keep you updated as more information comes to light.
Stay safe out there, everyone.